This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com.
Today on Film Riot, we're getting back to some more Slate action. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques. One of some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and today we're getting back to the Slate. We shot 2 episodes of this a while ago. We showed you guys 1 episode, which we cut into 2 episodes, and now we have the 2nd episode to break out for you since you guys have been requesting it so much, which is nice. You dug it. So now we have 2 more weeks of the Slate for you to enjoy into your face. So without further ado, doo-doo.
Logo.
And that's the beginning of our rap album.
Somebody's going to capture that sample, and it's going to be passed around. It's going to show up at a Grammy Award winning. So we got to start this off proper.
Coffee and beer glass. Start our 2nd episode. Justin Robert Young. Hello, sir.
Glad to be here at 10 in the
Glad
morning.
you're here.
Huzzah! I like that you guys, like we just kept rolling into the diner. You're like, oh, a little bit of coffee. We're like,
hello.
2 beers now.
Yes, hi. So your partner in crime on NSFW.
Yes, sir.
We do.
I like
the
the
show.
I like the way you sort of like kick responsibility over to my side. You're
know.
like, so whatever he says, it reflects on you.
Just go. Because I know he's going to say some stuff.
This all shows up on your permanent record.
The show's PG-13, okay, Justin?
PG-13.
Yeah, tone it down a little.
Logged.
little.
Now he's going to say
He's like,
worst
No,
stuff.
now
in
all of
history.
them is like, what is the worst joke I've seen in a PG-13 movie?
I mean, a 12-minute
I want to
blink.
make that one
Because
in
that means,
5
that means
minutes.
we get what? We get 1 S word, like, or no, 2 S words and 1 F.
or one. I think
I
it's
think
either
it's
or.
one.
I
Yeah,
think
it's either
Yeah,
or.
you can't go both.
As
And
long
I
as
can
the
show-
F word
and I
is...
can- and I can show half a cheek.
Yeah, you can show the whole cheek. That's fine.
Is that it?
Yeah, as long as it's male, you're good.
Okay.
Either
Male
cheek,
nudity,
whichever one
always
you like.
fine.
Sure.
Unlimited murders. You get unlimited murders on PG-13, right?
Of course.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, violence is unrestricted. It's
Yeah.
just...
But you can show his head
Just
getting
don't-
crushed, though.
Right.
You just have to have
Depends.
Dakota Fanning go,
We
"Woo!" and then you
Yeah.
blood
We
splatter
just
on
have
her
to cut
face.
away quickly, and we're fine.
Yeah.
We can show a second of it.
Are you one of the people who's weirded out by how okay with violence we are in American cinema?
Nope.
But at the same time,
No?
No.
Really?
But like in Europe, I mean, they freak out over the violence, but meanwhile, it's all boobies and butt cheeks, as far as the eye can see. It's
True.
a magical booby butt cheek wonderland in Europe.
So I think they're uptight about violence.
Well, yeah, no, they
Right,
definitely
that's
are.
what- yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah, but
right.
at the same time,
That's
here you
stupid.
can show like a sex scene, but you can't show. No, let me reverse that. You can show
Put it down, flip it, and reverse
flip it and reverse
If
it.
Joseph
I'm
were
gonna do a
mankind.
pancake rap now.
Have you
like a little
guys
pancake wrap.
seen This Film Is Not Yet Rated?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's one half completely unfair petty indictment where they try to reveal the MPAA, but the other half is a really good commentary on how completely bizarrely uptight about sexual enjoyment the American film industry is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the weirdest thing about that documentary is that they go into, obviously, the disparity between sex and violence, but also that the MPAA is a rare kind of thing, especially for film throughout the world, that it's a private entity that has escaped
Right.
government regulation.
And the whole it was created because the government was making noise, acting like they were about to start controlling films, and they're like, we're like, hey, we got this group and we have ratings, and you don't
Yeah,
need
we
to
got
go.
it.
And say what you will about the MPAA.
And Jack Valenti specifically,
Right.
who was the biggest boogeyman until he resigned, and now I forget who takes over now. But he did say he saved us from government regulation.
But at the same time, these people are not qualified in any way.
So
They're
you like housewives and crap.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's not really rated off of any kind of actual like
scale. There's no-
scale.
No.
Like Tarantino, the whole fight where they kill a bajillion people, they could show it fine. He didn't have to cut a single frame. They were like, no R rating, you can't have it. So he went back, put it black and white, showed the exact same scene. They're like, good to go.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because the blood wasn't right.
Well, and what's
Yeah.
funny, Fight Club did the same thing. The scene where he just mashes the face of Jared Leto, totally screws him up.
Yeah.
They said 2 too graphic. So then what they did is they just show him punching, and you hear the squishing sound of meat being punched. So it's actually way more graphic, way more horrific.
disturbing,
yeah.
yeah.
But they're like, oh, okay, you didn't show it. That's all good.
Let's talk about what this episode's actually about.
Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Exactly.
No, we wanted to talk about
Born a shaker in California.
A shaker.
shaker, a quaker, a
That's a
motivator.
shaker, though, right?
Yeah, no, it is. That's what they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Now you've offended the shakers.
No, great. You
Okay,
guys
that's-
don't believe
I
that.
That's-
believe in God.
He's Oscar the Grouch now.
Hey, was I the only one who thought Oscar the Grouch was meant to be a Vietnam vet? Like, he's all...
Because he hides in a trash
Yeah,
can.
yeah, he's just bitter about everything.
Vietnam
You don't understand that.
We have offended Vietnam vets. Great. This episode's off to a great
And
start.
PBS Muppets.
I can't think of a better way to start off an episode about the internet
I guess
than
not.
offending everybody instantly.
Boom. Welcome to the internet.
No, honestly. So at first,
Under 300 Club.
Take that, whoever wrote it. I had it.
but okay, so obviously when we brought this up, we're like, oh, what are we gonna vote? Internet good, internet bad, and of course I think we all think it's good. I think this is fantastic opportunities. But we're at this weird nexus where nobody knows where new media is headed. Nobody knows what kind of money is going to be made on internet video and distribution, and whether or not it's possible. It's amazing to watch a brand new media come into its own. And we saw last time we saw something like this was when broadcast television first started. Back in the 1950s, and nobody knew what they were doing. So they just took old radio stars, threw them in front of a camera. They did radio with pictures, and eventually it evolved into its own totally different medium. And we're seeing the same thing happen on YouTube and the internet.
Well, I think we are seeing the beginnings of what new media is going to be, and specifically as other media have degraded and shifted to the existence of the internet, like what you've seen with Louis C.K. right now. He's releasing, and of course when this comes out, it'll be a million years
Yeah.
old.
Ancient history.
But
That was like 5 days
2
ago.
years from now.
Yeah, flip it in your history books.
When I was a
kids.
kid.
Yeah. So Louis C.K. Releases a stand-up special that is shot and looks like an HBO, same thing you would see on HBO or Showtime or Comedy Central, for $5 on his own site. But he can do that because A, he's gotten the money from a cable show to have this startup capital, and B, the audience for a cable show is not that far from his collective audience online with his Twitter following,
Because he built a presence.
and social media and stuff like that. So it's not crazy for him to think, and apparently at the time that we're recording this, he's made a couple $100,000, still less than what HBO or something would pay
I heard
for.
it was like 500,000. Is that not right?
I heard it was
No.
$50 billion.
No, it was.
Yeah, I heard it was a
no,
trillion,
it was 500,000, but that was less the cost of putting everything on.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 2,000 that he's taken
Gotcha.
home.
Gotcha.
And that, I think that to me is where things are. Is building up your audience and then selling to your audience directly, which is, I think, different than what we thought it was going to be, which is ad supported.
But it's also interesting to watch all the heavy hitters, the people who are the money, to scratch their heads and not know what to do with this new animal, and get all these brand new people who don't have a cent and they're making it in their backyard, capitalizing on it like crazy, and then
the
everybody
big
else
guys-
trying to follow in
The
behind.
distribution companies are scared because they're not going to find a place in the new media.
But I think there will
But isn't
always be a place for
necessarily true,
like
yeah.
take the Louis C.K. example. What happens is he now gets a first crack at the walnut by being able to take his hardest core followers, the people who would do anything he asks, and say, "Give me $5 first," and then that's over with. He still retains all the rights, and then he says, "Now let's reach all the people who aren't my hardcore fans, people who are just flipping channels and will enjoy this." And then you talk to Showtime.
Yeah,
or
no,
HBO.
he can still sell it to
Yeah.
Netflix or to Comedy Central or
Yeah,
Showtime.
absolutely. I think the one thing that's great is, especially if you look at like even film, obviously from my standpoint, the movies that are coming out are such garbage. Like we were talking about yesterday. If you look past the films that came out this year, it's been so much crap. And so the internet, I think, was going to bring this great platform for really talented people to do something with next to nothing, put it up in this new model of distributing something, and then give the film industry a run for their money. So hopefully they'll stop just chucking cash at crap and start trying.
Well,
again.
right now, I mean, everything that you're seeing now that we would think is like, well, that was lazy.
Yeah,
You took a
terrible.
shortcut there, is to keep the lights on. I mean, like you said, I mean, panic is the order of the day when it comes to a lot of these studios and everything. If you look at how many fewer people are coming to movies now than they have in the past, it is time to start jumping out of windows.
But at the same time, there's films still breaking records right now.
Well,
Yeah, not adjusted to inflation though.
Exactly.
Oh, okay,
True.
but still,
If you look at tickets sold have been on a decline for
That's
Yeah.
true.
years.
Which I
decades.
think is what's going on with 3D. I think it's just round 2 of what they did when TV came
Oh,
out.
sure, yeah.
They
When
freaked
TV
out.
comes
They're
out-
like, gimmick, quick!
Yeah,
Which
and
is
the
where you
movie
get
theater- the
the
gimmick
you
was-
get all the 3D, and they're like, it's 3D like you've never seen.
It's
And you're like, I've seen this
smell-o-vision.
3D.
Yeah.
Movie theaters are still breaking records because they're charging 4 times as much for a ticket.
So true.
But
Freaking
here's the
50
thing, though. I
bucks.
think the market.
Wait, did you guys get into the IMAX thing on the
No,
previous
we did
episode?
not.
'Cause
Mildly.
that is a jihad that I think should be leveled immediately.
Yeah.
'Cause that seems like a terrible. It's like the IMAX family. It's like this scheming
Right.
cousin came up with this. We're just like hey, I
You
know
know
what
what
we
we'll
can do,
do?
guys.
Right, no,
we
no,
can
okay.
go sell it to other theaters, and then we can just call it IMAX. Like, no, Joe IMAX. That's a terrible idea. And they just does it behind their backs.
Yeah,
It's IMAX spelled with a C. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's horrifying. And just to reset, there are theaters that are not IMAX as they're properly supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
The
IMAX
defined
means
definition.
70mm prints, right? Those
Yes.
those giant format ones.
And the sound's supposed to be higher quality. Everything's supposed to be of this next level standard, and then they're just ripoffs.
No, well, and
which I
it's-
read 2 years ago that they were cracking down on it, and they haven't.
Well, and I'll tell you what, like there was even this whole big like superior sound, superior picture, get ready. And then meanwhile, I'm seeing just a standard 4K projector spread out so wide because it is a larger
That just
screen.
gets ugly.
But then you see the individual pixels. You just feel it
Yeah,
feels
it's like
you're
watching a
stick a- yeah.
DVD on a
Yeah.
giant.
It's like your
Blu-ray.
stoner friend put a thing up against his
Yeah,
wall.
like,
Like,
what is this?
hey, y'all, want to come watch this movie?
And then the owner comes in and goes, stop whining, just squint, looks fine.
What is the allure of new media? What is it that brings you guys here to directly access the audience, to get on a global scale? An individual show is I don't know, a sliver of what you could get on television. What attracted you to
Well,
podcasting?
I'll tell you, I would actually like to know specifically, like, who you were right before you made the decision to start doing new media stuff.
I actually know, but I want to hear Ryan's story.
I just wanted to be a filmmaker, make films. I kind of fell into new media. That was
No,
never
yeah,
the
I think,
plan.
yeah.
And at the time, it was still kind of new-ish to this sort of thing. Now it seems like that's the thing. It's
Which,
huge.
by the way, I love that because that is everybody's story about new media.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I got into
I
it
got
when
it
it was
when it was
still
still
very
new.
young, which is never not true, by the way. Like, someone can
Well,
get into it
it's
tomorrow.
brand-
Oh, yeah.
still an
Yeah,
indie.
and
yeah.
they'll still be like,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's like,
still a baby.
But like for us, we're like,
Yeah.
well, when we got into it, it really wasn't that big.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, somebody who got into it like a year before, he was like, oh, whatever.
brand new.
Can we do this? PG-13?
I mean, it's
Can
still,
I
it's
do
still.
that?
I think so, yeah.
We're all still trying to figure out how to fully monetize the thing. You
Yes.
know? And still use it fully and deal with sponsors and also your content that's proper for your audience and back and forth. So everybody, including the majors, are like,
But-
exactly.
yeah.
Let's try this now. Did that work? But that's the great thing about new media. It's so open to just, let's try this. Let's throw that dice and see
And
what
it's,
happens.
it's such a leveling field because even, like you said, the big guys don't fully know how to monetize it yet.
Yeah.
The business model is still being created.
And because of that, you see these heavy hitters going to us little guys. Like, look at Freddie Wong just did a national spot for Battlefield 3 because
Wow.
of the work he does on YouTube.
But hey, let me ask you this, Ryan.
Yeah.
What, because there's a day that all of a sudden you're the internet guy.
The clouds open and the sun's shining.
You're the podcast guy.
Right.
What was that transition for you, and when did you realize that now this was a part of your life, and the audience was a part of your life? Because I know certainly for Brian, and I know for me, the biggest change is that all of a sudden you have these people listening to you,
Yeah.
and it's in a different way than you've ever experienced
These
before.
extended friend family that you never met in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's insane. A year into FilmRiot, I think, probably. I
Yeah,
would say.
but did it involve you getting recognized on the street? Was that a big moment?
Because it started by me I was working at this dead end job and I wanted to be a filmmaker. It was driving me nuts. So I started this thing on the internet just for me, and I thought it'd be cool to teach people stuff. And it sucked. It was terrible. But Revision 3 caught wind of it, and they're like, "Hey, this is actually something you can do and get paid and do it for a living." And I'm like, "What?
You're
This
like, "Nuh-uh."
exists?"
They're like,
And I didn't even know,
Yeah.
dude. And I didn't even know what Revision 3 was when they came to me. I really didn't know what I was getting into or the full scope of this thing because I don't know. I was used to, if you're not in a theater, nobody knows who you are or what
Right.
you
Yeah.
are. Because wasn't that big into like all the internet stuff.
I think that
Especially
really,
social media or
that-
anything like that.
that
Like Twitter,
helps.
I was like, "What's Twitter?" I swear, dude. The girl I worked with introduced me to Twitter. I'm like, I don't need it. I'm gonna stay on MySpace.
So it
But
was
then we
someone at
started-
Revision 3 saw your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, I think we submitted it, and Tim had a friend who worked for them, and he showed it to them, and then they called me. So we started, we're doing it, and it feels cool, but it feels like the same thing that we were doing just for the fun of it. Because,
Right.
I mean, you don't see your audience. It's not like you're on a stage. It's not like you're getting numbers back like you would in theater. You're
So,
not,
so you guys didn't get instant feedback as soon as FilmRiot launched?
Well, you get-
No, because we didn't, like, now we do YouTube. That's why I love YouTube, because I see that instant feedback. At the time with Revision 3, and I was so new, and I had no idea what any of this stuff was, how to even look at the analytics or the numbers, or what it even freaking meant.
Why is this
All
computer?
these
Why is it flashing?
And I'm just slapping it. I'm like, God, please.
But that's the other thing too. Is like you viscerally, you see some numbers on a page, you're like, is that a lot? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's like, well, I know what the Super Bowl did, and it's not this.
Yeah.
You know, and then,
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it's not until you have that personal experience of you're, trying to decide on what tofu to buy. It's sort of like Ryan Connolly.
What? Yeah,
Then everybody in terms of, and even like that numbers game doesn't get any clearer. No matter how
it
deep
doesn't.
you get into the
It
internet.
really doesn't.
Because there's a lot of people who are involved in the internet, even people who are very, they consider themselves experts on the subject, who have a way of shaping things that I like to call lies. That it's just like, oh, have you met blank? They're the biggest person on the internet.
They're amazing.
Or like, my podcast does very well.
Yeah.
It gets 1 billion views. And it's all fake. Everyone. It's
Well, you guys got started a little while before Ryan did, right?
Oh, yeah. You were way before.
Well,
our proto show was
okay.
existing before your proto show, but your real show got started before our
real show. Yeah.
But Scam
Except for
School.
Scam School.
Yeah,
Scam School's already
Yeah,
going.
but
Like a year
understand,
before
but
me, right?
there was a proto show before Scam School. The whole way I came to New Media was I actually had a development deal with Court TV. We wanted to do a show about scams and cons and busting the supernatural and calling out pseudoscience, thinking like Penn and Teller's BS show, but with like live in the field stuff. And then my champion, she was like, I love your energy, I love your crazy hair, you're young, you're in your early 30s, let's get you on our network so we can skew younger. And then after we started the development, she left to go be vice president of the Sundance
I was
channel.
like, see you later.
And she's like, they're gonna take really good care of you over here.
And you're like, you're a liar.
And it-
But yeah, like those internet people, they shave a droop and a white gold lie.
Yeah, you get those where it's just talk. See you later.
Well, and so they, this new person brings me in. They're like, listen, I think you're great, but our demographic's older.
Everybody else hates you.
Why don't we put you in this sweater and why don't we comb your hair? And there exists development footage of me looking like a child molester with combed hair and a
Aren't you in a
sweater.
van?
Yes, and I'm like,
And
let's
he
go to my
drives in a
van.
van. Oh my
No, this is totally
on
true.
in, America.
And so they totally cut the nuts off the project, and of course they ended up passing on it. And I was so enraged because
Well, because and that's almost the most insulting thing. This is about television in general, but like they'll put you through this hellish development cycle.
Of
They'll
nothing but
completely-
compromise.
They'll
Compromise
completely
across the
change
board.
your idea,
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, and now we're gonna take a look at it.
you're like, it's not
This
for
is
us.
terrible.
It's
Yeah,
not
this
working.
is
Yeah.
really
It's
bad.
not
And
working.
the other thing is the people in these positions are usually like these older suits who doesn't know it's good or not
No,
anymore.
of course.
No. Sometimes they're even young. Like they are the worst people on
They
the
just-
planet. They are
I remember I
spawned
went
from
in this-
hell.
I went in
I'm
this
never
one
gonna get a
interview.
job in television again.
You don't want one. Like we almost went on MTV and we got these producers and we're developing stuff and then it got so shady and they want this change so many things. I'm like, you know what? I'll stick with the internet. I mean, nobody's telling me.
I didn't know you guys.
Yeah,
got
and then
MTV.
because nobody's going. You know what? Maybe don't put Bruno in a wife beater and make a creepy fairy of dreams of slashing people with a switchblade. I'm just like, you know what? This is what we're gonna do this week.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, so that was the one thing, like, when I finished that experience with Court TV, I was just enraged because it was like, I said yes to stuff that I knew was a bad idea, but the experts were telling me what to
Yeah.
do, so I was like, sure, let's go for it. And I was like, damn it, I want to host something, and I don't care what it is. And this is before the iPhone was out, before YouTube was out. I didn't care if it was going to be on Nokia cell phones. I wanted people to see me doing something. And I made a list of, I was like, what do I need to have done in order to host my own show? And the number one item was, I need to have already hosted my own show. And I'm like, well, what the heck? So I was like, well, I'm on the road. I got a couple of cameras. Why don't I just make a travelogue documentary, 5-minute episodes called Brian Brushwood on the Roads? And what I love is that those still exist to this day. You could go to bbotr.com and see 23 episodes of what I was up to in 2006. And from that, I learned how to tell a story on camera. I learned how to edit. I learned how to find visual elements and set up shops. And those were vital when I pitched Scam School to Revision 3, that they were able to see me as hosting talent and say, like, let's give this guy a
because I mean,
chance.
nobody, even on the internet, like Rev3, any kind of company is not going to take you at your word. Oh, I'm a great host. Okay, come on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I
you need
think-
something to show
you're great,
for
you
yourself.
say.
That's what
I
I'm always
think
telling
the-
people when they're like, how'd
the
you do it?
point
I'm
is,
like,
though-
do it.
Yeah.
The point is that there are no experts in this. Even the people who purport to be
Yeah.
are guessing.
There's really
that
good
Chat
liars.
News-
Well, no. There are people who know what they're doing,
Sure.
but they are doing it.
Yeah, they're not
Exactly.
talking
They
about
are not
it.
talking about it.
Uh-huh.
And there's somebody that's like, I'm a social media expert. I'm a guru. And then you look at them and it's like, they have like 3,000 followers, or worse, they have 25 billion followers, but they also
They're
are
following 25
Yes.
billion people,
and 5
and you're
people.
like, aha.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you're
All
not.
right. Good.
You're a liar.
Yeah, no. If you don't know them, number one, check and see if other people know them. Because there's been a lot of times I've been at like South by Southwest or something,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they'll come up like if, like a bunch of people that I'm hanging out with, like, oh, we're gonna go see the Joe Chicken show, and I'm like, I've never heard of Joe Chicken. They're like, he has 1 billion followers. He just performed for the president. Like
The biggest thing on the
he is
internet.
the biggest, and I'm like, well, I don't know, like, because the internet is a very segmented personal experience.
Oh,
Sometimes,
completely.
but if they don't have a Wikipedia page and there's not a history of them doing well at stuff, they're fake. Run away from them.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what was the first time you felt famous from the internet?
I still don't feel famous.
Oh, get at it! What?
I
As
don't.
you launch your fifth
never
show.
want to feel famous.
You may not want to feel famous.
Ever. I don't feel famous. I mean, but I think I'm starting
You're internet
to
famous.
understand. Yeah, web
Internet
celebrity.
famous.
Yeah.
Web
I'm starting.
celebrity.
I'm starting to feel the actual gravity of what it actually is. I'm starting to comprehend what we've been able to accomplish. Because it just, I mean, we do it from our house, you know. And for the first year and a half, I was doing it from my mom's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, can I come and shoot at your house? My apartment's small.
Right,
You know,
right,
she's
right.
like, come on in, sweetie. I believe in you. Do it. I'm like, thanks, Mom. I burnt a hole in their wall. I warped their drapes
That's
from my
true.
lights. I
That's true.
chipped their tile. There's paint missing. There's a hole in the drywall. And no matter what awful thing I did to their house, they're always like, well, you're going to be famous one day and we love you. And I'm like, you are good. But so I'm shooting at my parents' house. I'm using my little sister and my little
was gonna
brother
say,
who end up becoming
Yeah, there
stars
was an
of the
awful
show.
lot of
Yeah,
Emily early
it was
on.
complete and total nepotism.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just felt like business. It feels like goofing off. You know, it's
Yeah.
only now that I'm like, wow, this is paying my bills full time.
Well, and that's the
it's
funny
kinda
part.
Like, huh.
Is that the internet looks for those moments of true electricity. You can
Yeah.
see the passion in people, and you can see the electricity of stuff, because you can take so many more risks in new media than you could possibly take on television.
It's so true.
I mean, there's full on, completely socially irresponsible episodes of Scam School that are borderline criminal, and it's like, and it like would never work in television. But it's like new media's like, oh,
How to sneak past plastic explosives into an airport.
Next time on
probably shouldn't have pointed that out.
Yeah, no,
Hide it in your butt.
I was gonna go there, and I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna have to cut it out. Oh, that's why you opt out.
But let me ask you this though, because you guys would know this much more than I would. It seems to be we're getting saturated with stuff now. Is there?
Okay,
too
no,
much?
no.
But
Wait,
rise to the top, as they
Okay,
say.
well,
It's so true.
yeah. Here's the thing: is you have all of a sudden an unrestricted channel, which means there is an avalanche of absolute crap. Like there's no redeeming value to it. It's just utter horse apples, and you're like, this feel. I wish I could say that.
Well, you just did.
Dare to dream, sweet pea.
But the point is along with that though, you also have, when you have wide bandwidth, that means in general you got the junk spectrum is much larger, but also the incredibly amazing spectrum grows as well. I mean, there's
Yeah.
stuff that lives on the internet that never could have happened in any other medium.
And really, if you look at the percentage of content produced versus audience, I don't think that percentage has really changed.
Yeah, I mean, because
the
I mean,
audience has grown.
someone filming their cat can't really be
exponentially.
counted as content.
Dude, you know, cat videos are way popular.
It drives me crazy. I'm like, really? Like, this cat eating a candy bar has like 20 million views.
Yeah.
And our episode that we spent a month on has like 10,000.
How
And I'm
long?
like,
How long did that kitty cat take eating that candy bar? Ever think of that?
like, all right, I guess.
The cat was like. No,
Wait,
this
is it a
crap.
calico
This is
cat?
crap.
Crap, do it again.
I'm not gonna be here for
We
crap.
need another candy bar.
Yes.
I think I lost my mind.
To die for.
I'll choose to that.
I'm not gonna be
No, it's just us.
So
It's
you look
just
for me
us.
and Ryan's new podcast.
If you're looking to start a website selling your magical portals, you have come up with a way to make a portal into another universe, and now you want to sell them. First of all, it's probably irresponsible because one, you're either gonna mess up the space-time continuum, or 2, as Hellboy has taught us, you are going to bring Satan-like creatures into this world. It's going to totally screw it up. And if Hellboy doesn't show up, or if that doctor doesn't get him, say he falls into the hands of the Nazis, we're all screwed. So it's an irresponsible business, so I would like to discourage you from it. But if you're not listening to me and you want to do it anyway, domain.com is the best place to go to get your domain name up and running for your business, to sell your magical portal thing that might ruin the world. They have the best hosting plans. They got that domain discovery service like Ryan told me not to do this and I didn't listen and now the whole world is screwed.com is probably what it would come up with, because domain is smart, like me. Also, if you want to save money on your world-ruining business, you can use the coupon code FilmRiot and get 15% off your order. Please don't do this. I mean, use domain.com, but with a different business, a safer one. Magical portals, they're not good. They're not good.
Logo.
So that's it for this episode, but not for the Slate. We got the continuation coming next week, again with Mr. Justin Robert Young, who is hilarious and always entertaining. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so, twitter.com/Ryan_Conley. And if you want to wrap your body with some filmmaking attire so you don't have to be naked, you can do so at our store right here. We got shirts like this one, and also this one. Isn't that nice? We also got a Triune Apparel Twitter that you can follow right here, which we are always tweeting coupon codes and deals and what have you. Also, we'll be tweeting when we do a new product, since we always do deals when we do a pre-release or whatnot. That's it. I'll see you next week when I teach someone to stop stuttering so they may rule the kingdom appropriately.